Hi, everybody. I'm here with Steve Tenebrae today. He is a contemplator of the dark feminine divine, and he uses Lilith to reach people in this aspect. Hi, Steve. How are you today?
Hey, Lindsay. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm good. So, what would you like to explain to people about what you believe in and what you, I guess, teach? Would you say you teach these things?
I would definitely say in the day-to-day teach, so we'll just go with that.
Okay.
I guess more realistically, I would like to say that I share this understanding to bring people to an understanding. It's a shared of an understanding, less of a teaching. So
Right.
my process really is, my background is with non-dualism and non-dual Vedanta, what is known as Advaita Vedanta. And Vedanta is ultimately indicating to people, is getting people to recognize that intrinsic power, that intrinsic essence is really their true identity, and not the identity with name, form, or their body, or their relational identity as son, father, mother, sister. And one of the hurdles that I had experienced in the past is getting over some of the cultural terminology and the Sanskrit terminology. So I've effectively have taken the process of Lilith and the process of the Great Abyss, Lilith being a personification of the Great Abyss, and brought that non-dual contemplation to a Western mind, to a Western ear.
Okay. Can you explain to me what non-dualism is?
Sure. The easiest way to say that is that it means not two. So a lot of people will say that it's all one, and then my natural reaction is to say, if it's all one, well then which one is it? So when you say not two or non-dual, this immediately creates a flip in the mind. If you say that it's not two, then there is no two, there's no three, there's no expression, there's no infinite regress. It's just simply not two. The mind turns itself back onto one, wholeness, for want of a better way to say it.
So it's not the belief in duality, it's the opposite. It's the belief that we are one.
Correct.
Or it is the belief in duality.
I strongly steer away from the word belief in this context. Nothing
Okay.
wrong with that. There's nothing to believe about it. It's more of a understanding. It's a cognitive understanding. It's a cognitive recognition. That's really what it is. The function or use of veneration through Lilith, not as a deity, not as an independent entity, but as a personification to say, I'm going to word this correctly. The personification really is as a pointer, right? Most people aren't under the understanding that a particular idol or a particular deity is an independent entity and that it's going to, come alive and do something based on their request, right? So more often than not, these symbols, these deities act as pointers to something deeper, to something else. So the thing that it is pointing to is really the individual, aside from name, aside from form. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So can we talk a little bit about beliefs? Since you corrected me, I wouldn't say corrected. You gave me a
Sure.
different version of a different perspective on it.
Mhm.
Can you please? You said you considered a cognitive recognition, basically.
Correct.
So what do you believe in beliefs? What do you believe that a belief is? Because to me, a belief
Sure.
is a cognitive. It's suddenly it's something that you understand enough to become a part of energetically. So
Sure.
then you believe in it. And so it becomes a part of you at that point. So cognitive recognition would be an understanding of something, and when you understand something, you then become a part of it. Does that?
Yeah, I follow your train of thought. Yeah.
Okay. So can you give me your perspective on that?
Yeah. You can believe something to be true for you on a subjective, on a personal level. It doesn't necessarily mean that it has existence or that it has structure outside of your own thinking. To use kind of what you were going on, if you have a particular belief of a particular deity, god, goddess, whatever it may be, that is a belief system, that's a belief understanding that resides within you. And effectively, when your intellect goes, when you die, when you pass away, that belief also goes. It's not essential, right? It exists and it has practical use. So it's not to be necessarily placed on a pedestal. It's also not necessarily to be thrown in the dirt as useless. It has practical use. But once you go, so does your belief system.
So do you have any beliefs of your own that you would say that you what is a belief that you have based on your perspective?
Sure. I wouldn't say that I have a particular belief system. To kind of touch on another philosophy or another understanding when it comes to things like chaos ritual, chaos magic, that type of paradigm. I think that beliefs are tools. I think they can be greatly utilized. I think they can be picked up and dropped as the practitioner needs to make use of them pragmatically, practically. But the belief, any belief system in and of itself, it doesn't have essential nature. It doesn't have essential essence. It's a man-made construct. It's a cultural-made construct.
So what you're saying is non-dualism is just is, whether you believe in it or not.
Correct. To kind of rewind to a more, I guess, fundamental aspect, consciousness is, right? And as consciousness comes through, our various organs, the mind, the sense faculties, the nervous system, will then color or filter the individuated experience. But at its core level, it doesn't change the nature of consciousness. It doesn't alter consciousness. The experience gets altered through the nervous system, through how we project, how we expect, the interactions with our chemistry, interactions with our emotions, our neurobiology. But the core of what consciousness is doesn't change. The nature of consciousness doesn't change. It's filtered through other emergent processes.
So what is consciousness to you? What would you say consciousness is?
I would say that consciousness is the fundamental, I want to say the word thing for the sake of conversation, but it's the fundamental thing that everything else emerges from. And the difficulty in calling consciousness a thing effectively gives it, it makes it an object. You are literally objectifying consciousness itself. But if consciousness is, as non-dualism, both Eastern and Western, mysticism and contemplation kind of indicate, it is a fundamental thing. If it is a fundamental thing, there's not a point where consciousness is born, has a lifespan, and then at a certain future time ceases to exist. Consciousness always is.
I would agree with that.
So if you objectify consciousness, if you make it an object, then the next question will come, when was it born? What is its lifespan? When does or when will it die? It is subject to coming and going. It's subject to modification, which consciousness as a fundamental thing, for want of a better way to say it, cannot be that. Because everything, including space and time, comes from it.
I am going to be thinking about this for a long time because I I guess I know I know the components in the human that consciousness animates. Like I know the physical components to consciousness.
You could say consciousness is an animating principle, or has a principle of animation.
Right. It's what animates you. So I know what parts of the body it activates, and that's what, like, I know the physical aspects of consciousness. But would you say that consciousness is a plasma energy? Because consciousness is energy. Would you say that consciousness is energy?
No, to directly answer the question. So I'll come back to that answer though in just a moment. We, in our speech, in our transactional pragmatic speech, will say consciousness is energy, or consciousness is in reference to soul, or reference to plasma, or whatever terminology you would like to throw in. The difficulty then is that plasma, energy, soul, all of these are their attributes, their characteristics that emerge from consciousness. They are not consciousness itself. The idea of plasma, the idea of soul, the idea of energy is just that. It is an idea in one's mind, and once that individual dies, expires, that idea goes.
So you don't think energy is?
No, because energy itself that's a human construct. That's an intellectual human construct, a human label to, again, act as a pointer, which is great. It is a construct that acts as a pointer to something, but the question is what is it pointing to?
Oh, I think energy is its own ecosystem of information, and I think it's its own entity.
Okay.
It is a human construct. I actually don't know if it's a human construct though, because I kind of feel like our world and our existence is here to create energy, and our energy is what feeds whatever containment that we're in. And the energy is what keeps the containment going. So if the energy is what feeds the containment, then outside of the containment, energy would be a thing. Because I believe consciousness outside of the containment is also a thing, because I believe consciousness is like the currency, is basically the currency outside of our world and outside of our containment. So I do believe that energy also is a currency outside of our containment. Because ether is energy. That's what I believe, and it feels it's what controls us. It's what moves us. It's what makes us feel like it's. So that's my perspective on it.
Okay. And then is there, or do you think there is some sort of fundamental ground in which that energy or in which that ether rests in? Or is it self-effulgent? Is energy itself, is ether itself self-existent and self-effulgent? Or does it have something that it rests in?
No, I think it's self. It's self. It's by it can exist by itself.
Okay. That's in that kind of, at least on the surface, what I'm picking up on, correct me if I'm wrong, is you are calling it one thing, I'm calling it another. Again, just for the sake of pragmatic transactional language, okay? But those, even when I say consciousness, even when you say ether, that is also something that was a construct born in time, has its existence in your mind, my mind, or someone else's mind, and at a future point, that construct will no longer exist. It will go.
I don't think energy will ever go out of this world. I think as long as this world exists, energy will be a thing, because energy is what keeps it going. If it didn't have energy in it, it wouldn't be turned on.
But your concept, your intellect, your language it exists, it's there. But I'm not saying that energy doesn't exist. What I'm saying is that your concept of what you think energy is, it has a moment in time, and it has a future moment where it won't exist. Your concept of it, not energy itself.
I mean, unless the concept transitions into some other kind of concept, or we learn something new about energy. I don't know. I don't know. Let's get back on task here. I got lost.
Sure.
We were talking about non-dualism, and you mentioned how you use Lilith to represent the great abyss, you called it. So can you tell me what the great abyss is? Or can you explain that to me?
Yeah. I'll give an analogy, or an analog, you could say, from Eastern Hinduism, from Vedanta. So the all-providing ground of existence is seen as Brahma. And then out of that, there are various personifications within the Hindu pantheon of Brahman, Vishnu, Shiva, of what's her name, Saraswati, of Kali, of other sorts of gods and goddesses that act as personifications, representations of that fundamental ground. So basically, I've taken the concept of the fundamental ground as the great abyss, to use Western occult and kind of left-hand path terminology. And Lilith is represented as the personification of that abyss, or of the great abyss. She acts as a pointer, and through the process of both cognitive recognition and through a process of devotion, the tool, if you will, of the personification of Lilith is used. At first, a seeker will imagine or take that their deity is external to them, and there is a process of relationship. There's a process of communication. There's a fostering of relationship, essentially. Excuse me. And then as one goes further in their path, they get closer and closer to their divinity, to their chosen ideal, to Lilith in this context. Eventually, you begin to understand that there is non-distinction, that there is no difference between you as the seeker and that which you are seeking. You are one and the same. And then the last, I guess, portion of that is all differentiation then ceases. You, as Lindsay, look a particular way. I, as Steve, look a particular way. And aside from the external attributes, aside from the external characteristics, you could say that we're both human. We could further take that away, and you're human, I'm human. We can take that away, and we can see again that there's an essential sharedness, down, 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 to the point of what some people would call a spirit, what some people would call a soul, or some people would call energy. There is non-distinction, there's non-differentiation. So the idea here of Lilith being a personification is to use the personification, to use the deity in a skillful manner, to help you understand in time that there is no distinction, that there is non-distinction between the seeker, that which is being sought, and the act of seeking itself. It is all one piece. We make internal disconnects. We make internal, what's the word I'm looking for? Lines in the sand, basically, borders, to say at this point it is seeker, at this point this is what is being sought, and between the two is the process of seeking. But those lines are arbitrary. The intellect creates these lines internally. In reality, these lines are not there.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
I would agree that I would call it a limiting belief, a limiting belief. But you know, we're only capable of what we think we can be capable of.
Right.
that would go with that, as you said it, right? I would say, yeah,
Yes.
right. So do you, would you say that you worship any certain energy? Do you have an altar at home, or like what is your personal routine like as far as that goes?
Yeah, I'll share a little bit about that. So I've learned over time, and you may have experienced this, and some of your listeners may have experienced this. I've taken the concept of an external altar or an external temple and made it more of an internal mental process, what some people refer to as an astral temple or an astral altar. The great thing about that is that I'm not limited to the external or where I may be or anything, because I carry that within my own mental setup and within my own spiritual setup internally. So my morning routine literally is a 45-minute hour meditation session. I will do some repetitions of mantra, for lack of a better way to say it, repetitions of prayer, repetitions of mantra, just to hold my mind still for a moment. And then from that point, I will go into kind of a silent or stillness type of meditation. Collectively, this is about 45 minutes. Throughout the day, I will have points of remembrance where if I'm getting a little frustrated, need to kind of realign my thinking. And again, I will come back to that particular mantra, do a few moments of repetition, things of this nature. I also do some energy cultivation techniques, what would be considered spinal breathing, pranayama, integrated pranayama type of techniques. And then I also do about an hour, roughly 45 minutes or an hour of yoga as well, that's integrated with all this.
Do you work a job? Do you work any kind of job?
Currently, I do not.
No?
So okay. My time is fully, I'm going to kind of self-plug here for a moment.
Go ahead.
My time,
You've
my
written
time
books.
at the moment.
Yeah, he's a writer. He's written books. Yeah, 3 books, I think, right?
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So there's a weird reflection with the light here. So there's a total of 3 books. There's a black cover book, which is Radiant Obscurity, the Lilith dialogues. The dialogue process takes place similar to what I learned in the Vedanta courses in India, where you have a student and a teacher, or in this case, the seeker and Lilith as mother. And you as the reader, you as the participant, get to watch this from a third-party perspective. It's never the narrator saying, you need to do this, you don't need to do that, you need to start this, you need to stop that. So you get to watch it almost like a TV show. You get to see it from a third-party perspective, which it helps in a lot of ways. One, it helps you digest the information a little easier because it's not being directly, pushed to you in a direct, you should do this, kind of way. The other aspect is that it kind of, how do I say this? It's kind of short-circuiting, lowering the wall, if you will, when it comes to cognitive dissonance. When it comes to, oh, that's an unfamiliar subject, that's an unfamiliar topic, I don't want to listen to this, I don't want to listen to that. This pushes me in a particular way, is uncomfortable in a particular way. But when it's done as a third party, when you are effectively watching it, play out on a TV screen, in this case, the book, you're not directly interacting with it. It's less of being accusatory and less of,
not threatening.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. Thank you.
I understand. I do that to people. I'll just give the person the information. I'll give them, the information and let them decide. And I won't give them an opinion or push them in any certain way. I'll just say, well, this is what's going to happen if you do this, and this is what's going to happen if you do this. It's your choice. Yeah. So that's kind of like my approach with stuff. I absolutely agree with you that that's how you reach people.
So the first book, which is the black covered book, that is the Lilith dialogues. That is,
I will link all of these books in the description. If you're wanting these books, you're watching now and you want these books, everything will be linked in the description. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want them to know
that's fine. That's fine.
Go ahead.
And then there is a red covered book, which is, again, the Lilith dialogues that also have additional commentary to further unfold. So the black covered book is literally just the conversation and the dialogue between Seeker and Mother, between Seeker and Lilith. If you follow along some of my social media, I've given little audio clips of what that sounds like between Seeker and Mother, between Seeker and Lilith and their conversation. The red covered book provides commentary to kind of further unfold that understanding. And then the third book, the blue covered book, is the third one, the last one in the Radiant Obscurity series. This one has 50 daily meditations. So it takes the dialogue, it takes the commentary, and then it gives a practical application of how to apply this philosophy, not just intellectually, but in our day-to-day, how to utilize this understanding day-to-day. For those that may be a little more of a devotional aspect, more heartfelt aspect, there's also several hymns and poems at the end of the blue covered book as well.
Okay, we lost our camera here. My screen went out. So I'm going to end this here. Hold on.
Sure.